Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Mountain Stream, our Monday night Sangha gathering. My name is Adam Stonebreaker, and I'm the guiding teacher here. And I'd like to welcome you. And I'd also like to welcome our guest teacher tonight, welcoming him back, Gullu Singh. We'll have more to say about Gullu later, but Gullu, you can go ahead and get going if you are ready.
Oh. Thanks, Adam. Uh, it's nice to see some of you, some familiar faces online, and can't really see you in the room, but I have fond memories of being there a few months ago. So the Buddha often used this term, Pali word viveka, which is a kind of retreat. And Adam and I were just at Spirit Rock with some colleagues in a sort of like real retreat, like going away from home and being in some version of the wilderness and using that time to cultivate and practice. But I like to think of every one of these gatherings as a kind of mini retreat. And especially when we begin to meditate in a few moments, the idea that we're disconnecting from the usual way that we engage in the world, uh, which necessarily is very outward focused, to turning the focus inward. And one of the things I've been really exploring in my own practice is the idea of like not doing, non-doing, doing nothing, uh, non-meditation, meditation, some version of this. And when we were at the retreat, one of our colleagues reminded me of this analogy that I really love. It's a snow globe here, and going through life is very much like causes a lot of agitation in the snow globe with our responsibilities and all the things that we worry about, the general state of the world, affairs in the world, and if I wanted to still the snow globe, there's no kind of like technique or manipulation that I could use. Anything that I try to do actually just causes more agitation in the snow globe. And the only way for the snow globe to settle is for me to place it on the table, creating the conditions in which the nature of the snow globe is that it will settle. And the mind, the heart are the same way. We're going to practice creating these conditions of being more or less still, turning the attention inward, grounding ourselves in mindfulness of the body to allow the nature of the Dharma, you could say, of the mind to uh, do its thing, which is to find a kind of natural equilibrium. So, finding a posture in which you can have a sense of ease that can be both simultaneously relaxed and also alert. Can close the eyes or soften the gaze. And first notice that you're already being supported by the earth. Maybe there's some pressure on the soles of the feet. Maybe you can feel the weight of your body in your seat. Maybe there's a sense of earth element supporting your back. And maybe there can be some kind of yielding, allowing yourself to be fully supported. And in that yielding, a kind of softening of the forehead, of the jaw, allowing the shoulders to drop down, even a fraction of an inch, letting the belly be soft. And then letting the awareness connect on the level of sensation, whatever is most predominant in your experience in this moment. Don't need to change anything or curate anything, just opening to what's here already. And you might also notice some experience of pleasant or unpleasant or neither. And seeing if that experience of feeling tone has any effect on your attitude of literal or metaphorical leaning in or bracing away. And maybe seating the intention to be able to rest at ease, however things are, moment by moment. And inviting the attention to rest on the feeling of the breath, moving in and out of the body. Like bringing the experience of breathing into a kind of uh, zooming in or a clear resolution so that everything else fades into the background. Can still be aware that there's thinking happening, that there may be sounds in the environment. But we're giving priority to the experience of breathing. And in the simplest way, breathing in, knowing, feeling, experiencing the in breath, breathing out, knowing, experiencing, feeling the out breath. There's many ways to connect with the experience of breathing. You might feel the expansion or contraction of the belly. You might feel the rise and fall of the chest. Maybe there's the sensation of air at the nose or the upper lip. Or maybe there's awareness of more subtle sensations of the breath at the slight movement of the shoulders, sensation at the back of the body, maybe a slight movement in the rib cage, or maybe it's a sense of tracking the breath as it appears to move through these various parts of the body. And me breathing in, experiencing the whole body, breathing out, experiencing the whole body. Or maybe it's even the feeling as if every cell in the body were breathing. Just staying connected to the experience of breathing in whichever way feels more easeful, more pleasant, most accessible. And letting it be simple, even ordinary. Just knowing the in breath, knowing the out breath. Knowing that happens essentially automatically in the same way you're hearing my voice. And every time you notice that the attention has wandered from breathing, this is the magic moment. This is the moment of mindfulness where we build our fortitude and resilience by devotedly beginning again. Connect with the felt sensation of breathing, while everything else just rests in the background. Bringing a gentle, steady persistence to begin again and again. This ongoing process of returning again and again and again is the heart of our practice. There's nowhere to go, nothing to get or get rid of. No one you have to be or become. Just to be alive is enough. Just to be alive is enough, and we can connect with this aliveness through the very breath that keeps us alive. We can end our formal period of practice with a few moments of reflecting on something that you're grateful for. Might be a person or a being or a situation, circumstance. If it's a person or a being, sensing into what it's like to be in their presence, or visualizing this in your mind's eye. And then connecting with gratitude as a felt sense in the body. Noticing where gratitude might reside in the body, energetic flavor of that experience of gratitude. Maybe a gentle invitation that that sense of gratitude could expand into more and more of the body. Maybe even pervading the whole body. And maybe letting the inner smile of gratitude manifest even into the slightest outward expression, the tiniest upward movement of the corners of the mouth, the half smile of the Buddha. Letting go of all that, letting go of anything that feels like a doing or practice, and just resting. Not picking up any project, not getting involved in any experience, just resting. And I'll invite the sound of the bell. Thank you for your practice. Um, I know we take about a 5-minute bio break. Is that right? Okay. So I'll see you all. Let's make it 6 minutes. I'll see you all back at 6:40 Pacific time. My teacher here in LA, Trudy Goodman, is fond of saying that meditation groups are a come as you are party. And in that spirit, I would invite any of you that are so inclined or motivated to appear on screen. That would be lovely, however you are. It just makes it a little easier to be able to see your faces and know that there's a person there. So I wanted to talk about Refuge tonight. It's a very central principle in the Buddhist world. Uh, the idea of taking refuge or going for refuge. I even like this word refuge, it's like a feeling of a place that we can be safe, we can rest more easily, we can be protected. If you have a good home life, it's like the feeling of being able to come home and you can take off your shoes and just kind of be at ease. Don't have to worry about anything. We can be authentically ourselves without self consciousness. And can feel a sense of belonging. Whatever it is we might be sort of seeking in the place of uh, solace from the turbulence of the external world. And refuge is also like you think about a wildlife refuge. It's all those things, but also like an ideal environment for the animals and the flora and fauna to thrive, to uh, kind of live the best version of their lives. I kind of put all these ideas in the sort of perfectly vague but relatable uh, phrase of well-being. So we might have our own flavors of what is appealing to us, but it's this notion that we can be well or have a sense of well-being. And this is, what brings many of us to meditation practice. It's kind of the primary movement of uh, maybe all beings, but certainly human beings to be striving for this kind of experience of well-being. And so in the Buddhist world, we say, one of the ways to orient ourselves in the world, one of the ways to prioritize how we use our attention, what we devote ourselves to, uh, is signified by this idea of going for refuge, taking refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, the Dhamma, and in the Sangha. And it's a radical departure from the kinds of things that the world encourages us to seek refuge in. My background is as a corporate lawyer, and when I was a kid, it was, that was it. It was like having a certain kind of status and respect, and having you know, a job that was held in esteem, and paid well, and would afford me, material luxuries in the world. Um, One place we are encouraged by a culture to seek refuge is in achievement and acquisition, and sooner or later, if we're in that stream, we realize that these things don't really uh, bring a kind of durable, lasting satisfaction. In fact, the most depressed I've ever been in my life was after I graduated from law school, which is supposed to be this like pinnacle of achievement, 19 years of schooling to get to this place. And I was fortunate enough to work in a very prestigious law firm. The partner I worked for was fond of reminding me that they were the oldest firm in Los Angeles, and that their original phone number when the firm was founded was two. I guess one was the mayor and two was this law firm. You can just see how much ego there is in that too. That was also sort of like something that fed the we're the best, we're the greatest, we're the oldest. taking refuge in that, uh, taking refuge in busyness. This is like sort of like a kind of badge of honor in our society. You ask people, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm so busy." And I have friends who have teenage kids, and they were really busy. Like they've got so many activities scheduled, and I remember when I was that age, I had nothing to do. I was sort of like bored all the time. Um, so there is something to like the satisfaction that we get out of busyness. But then there's the cost. We were the retreat that Adam and I were just supporting. One of our colleagues, Yang O, was reminding us of the story of the Buddha and how he went through a period of practice that was very harsh. Just eat a few morsels of food, and he would. At one point, he even tried to not breathe that much, just to really try to uh, beat the body into a kind of submission. Uh, and then he was on the verge of death. He was on the verge of. He was gaunt, and there's a lot of graphic descriptions about how he could rub his belly and feel his backbone, and his hair was falling out, and his eyes were sunken, and he would get up and he would fall over, and Yang beautifully likened this to like this is kind of our culture. Like maybe it's not so extreme that we're literally about to die, although the it almost certainly takes a toll on our life and our health to be uh, dedicated to this busyness and productivity and doingness. But the Buddha had this insight, as he was on the verge of uh, dying, that there must be a better way. And then this trying to take refuge and find refuge in this austere, driven kind of practice. The culture encourages us to seek refuge in a variety of entertainment options. It's really like it's embarrassment of riches. Like I have a weekly movie night with my father, my wife, and my mother-in-law, and like just deciding what to watch out of like a nearly infinite amount of choices uh, is is a big deal. And I've been known to binge watch a Netflix series, and there is a kind of temporary refuge in that, like for the time that we're fully absorbed in some fascinating story. We're not thinking about our problems, you know. We're not thinking about our personal situation. We're not chewing on the things that we chew on most of the time. We're not thinking about, climate change or any of the myriad of global crises that are happening right now. We're just absorbed in the movie. And so it does feel like there's a kind of relief in that. And maybe some of that in social media or video games or other kinds of, I'll call them distractions. But when the series is over, and it's not just that we're back where we started, it's actually that we have one more thing to digest and metabolize. Because all good entertainment has, tension or emotional intensity or something, that attracts our attention. So after that series, which you can thoroughly enjoy, it's not that we're back where we started. It's that we now have this other layer of even subtle agitation that we have to metabolize and digest in some way. So I would call all these kinds of things a kind of false refuge. They give the illusion of uh, being a refuge, but if they are at all, it's only temporary. It's not lasting or durable. And so the Buddhist viewpoint is that there's something more durable, more satisfying, more forward leading that we can place our trust in, place our confidence in, orient our life in harmony with. There's a chant that is no doubt familiar to many of you that we'll do at the end of my talk. And the words are Buddham Saranam Gacchami. I go to the Buddha for refuge. And I really love that it's present tense. It's not like I went, I did that last week, I'm done. And not only that, we would chant it like 3 times. Like Buddham Saranam Gacchami, I go to the Buddha for refuge. Dutiyampi, Buddham Saranam, I go again. And for the third time, like this is an ongoing movement of the mind to stay in alignment and harmony with this notion of Buddha, uh, which operates on both an internal and an external level. So there's the external Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, you know, a person we think lived roughly between 25 and 2600 years ago, who was a human being just like us, who uh, perfected his heart, abandoned greed, hatred, and delusion, was able to manifest compassion for all beings in the world, was able to step out of this push and pull kind of world we live in. Uh, and it's a great inspiration, to hold open the possibility of uh, that this is possible, and that we have an example to aspire towards or to look up to uh, for inspiration. And then there's the internal level of that, which is a confidence that really each of us have. If we didn't have this confidence, we wouldn't be in a meditation group. This confidence that there is this potential for transformation, this potential for growth, for learning, for uh, transcendence. I love this word. This word's a little controversial for some reason now, but I love this world of like being able to cut through all the things that aren't important and to find ease and well-being and happiness in a world where it's not so easily on offer. This capacity to tame our passions, uh, to find this middle way between overindulgence and asceticism. That was one of the Buddha's insights when he nearly died, was that there's a kind of healthy balance between uh, renunciation and what we might today actually call a kind of self-care, right? To care for this body, to care for this spirit. And another level of the internal refuge in Buddha is to liken the Buddha to awareness itself. This amazing, ineffable, inexplicable capacity we have to be able to know our experience. Uh, and this is all of life, everything you've ever experienced in this life is one of 6 things arising in consciousness: smells, sights, tastes, touch, sounds, and thoughts, objects of the mind. Uh, Without this capacity to know, there would sort of be like, there wouldn't be any, it'd be hard to imagine a life, actually, what life would be. And even the simplest organisms, like single cell amoeba and bacteria, have some awareness of their environment and an ability to move towards what's nourishing and away from what's toxic. We go for refuge in the Buddha can mean that anytime there's a moment of uncertainty or a moment of stress or a moment of difficulty, that it's almost like a training. Like, more and more we put our trust and our faith in Buddha, the more instinctively in those moments of difficulty we'll turn the mind, the movement of mindfulness, from whatever is happening, instead of being sort of like caught or tranced or trapped in it. This feeling of unease or restlessness or anxiety overtakes me, and if I have enough mindfulness in that moment, the mind turns from I'm really anxious, I don't know what's going to happen, all the worries that are cascading through the mind, into a kind of awareness that this is unfolding in experience. And that simple, subtle shift of perspective creates a little bit of space. And that little bit of space is the seed for some freedom in that experience. Allows us to not be so identified with that experience when we can see it unfolding from this kind of different perspective. Thich Nhat Hanh used to say that, uh, if the mind is filled with sadness, then the mind is filled with sadness. But if you bring mindfulness there, now the mind is no longer filled with sadness because mindfulness is also present. I love that analogy of like mindfulness is like our companion that comes into the room to remind us that we're in a room and there's things happening in this room. But it's not the whole story of our uh, existence or our life. It's just what's happening in this moment. In this moment, like all moments, is inevitably uh, temporary. Life is always in flux, things are always changing. So, Buddham Saranam Gacchami, I go to the Buddha for refuge. And we have Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, I go to the Dhamma or the Dharma for refuge. This word Dharma, it's the Sanskrit, or Dhamma, which is the Pali, has many, many meanings. It's one of those words that means a lot of different things. Usually, when the convention is if we capitalize it, then we're talking about the Buddha Dharma, the truth as espoused by the Dhamma, the teachings that came from the Buddha. Uh, so all these technologies, mindfulness of the breath, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of mind, mindfulness of feeling tone, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, the maps and models of the human experience that we got from the Buddha, the Eightfold Path, Four Noble Truths, incredibly helpful lists like the hindrances that give us a sort of shorthand to say, oh yeah, aversion is present, desire is present, restlessness is present, aid us in this sort of disentanglement from intense experience. A much more reliable place to put our trust or our faith, or to come to the teachings in those moments of distress or uncertainty or stress or suffering of any kind. And this word Dhamma also means phenomenon. Like, if the Buddha is refuge in the Buddha is refuge in awareness itself, then refuge in the Dhamma is a kind of trust in whatever arises in experience. And the more and more we practice, the more and more we cultivate this kind of the heart of metta, the heart that is not in contention with experience as it's arising, the more and more coming into contact with experience, what's being experienced, what's showing up in awareness becomes a kind of refuge. A big part of our mindfulness practice is to actually be able to do this, to come into contact with experience, to recognize it, to see it clearly, and to develop a kind of dispassionate relationship with it. We're not so like sort of knocked about by different kinds of experience. The Buddha describes this as, overcoming desire and sorrow with regard to the world. It's right there. Like, how great is that? There's so much sorrow and desire in this world. Like you just holding open the possibility that this practice can lead to less of that, which I've seen in my own experience and so many people that I have um, walked this path with. It's very inspiring. And then we have Sangam Saranam Gacchami.
Hi, everyone.
We had a little brownout, but I think I'm back. Am I back?
You are back. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Let me try to turn on my camera. This world is very unreliable.
You're back. Cool.
Okay, I'm back. Uh, Arising and passing away. Um, so Sangam Saranam Gacchami. I go to the Sangha for refuge. And traditionally, the Sangha meant the community of monastics who carried the teachings, for hundreds of years. It was mouth to ear, uh, dedicating oftentimes their whole life to memorizing these volumes of teachings. There's one version of the Pali Canon, the words attributed to the time of the Buddha, that's 17,000 pages. These dedicated practitioners gave their lives up to uh, memorize these, to practice the teachings, to guard them against all kinds of difficulties, and it kind of feels like a miracle that we still have access to those 2 millennia later. It feels like a miracle and feels like an incredible gift, actually. So going for refuge to the Sangha meant traditionally, like going to hear the teachings, hearing the Dharma frequently taught, getting the wise counsel of those that have walked the path a little bit longer than you might have, coming to mountain stream meditation. People like me will spout off for an hour. Um, More contemporarily, we have broadened the meaning of Sangha to mean the community of practitioners in general. And the Buddha famously said that spiritual friendship is the heart of the holy life. That, this difficult path to walk. It's very, as I was saying, it's very much against the stream of our culture, which is encouraging us to be driven and acquisitional and status conscious and to be consumers, to be uh, caught up in all kinds of egoic endeavors. Uh, Sometimes, to be divisive and contentious, so coming out of this election season to just see so much divisiveness in our culture. This is kind of like feels like what the culture is sort of teaching us, and we, like the Buddha, are kind of saying, well, there must be a better way. There must be another way. And one of the things that has been so supportive to me in spiritual practice is spiritual community, just being around people, and I know uh, we share this desire for goodness, in all its facets, to be good people, people who bestow the gift of fearlessness on each other because we know we're going to act in integrity, we're not going to exploit each other, we're going to tell the truth, um, honor the vows that we've taken to each other. This practice of ethics is a sort of central um, requirement, really, of Buddhist practice. And one of the things I've appreciated is coming into communities where this is kind of the gold standard or the aspiration. We all conduct ourselves in a way that is allows everyone else to relax and to be mirrors to each other. Like I've had so much doubt over my lifetime of in various things, and it's so helpful when a friend, especially when you develop a shared language that's sort of based on the teachings, and someone just says, "Oh, seems like you're having some doubt," and it's almost like that movement of mind that comes into awareness. It's like, "Oh yeah, it's this doubt," like, and I can reestablish and brighten my faith. Actually, being around practitioners, which I have the you know, amazing privilege to spend the majority of my time around practitioners. It's like a constant brightening of my faith. I see the transformative power of the teachings at work all the time. So that's the external version of the Sangha. And then the internal version of Sangha is this idea of friendship. That if refuge in Buddha is refuge in awareness itself, refuge in Dharma is clear comprehension and dispassionate relationship with whatever is arising in awareness, then the internal Sangha is befriending all experience. This is kind of the cornerstone of equanimity. Equanimity is one of the things that, sometimes we don't have this word until we come to a Buddhist space, but it's kind of a thing that I think brings many people to practice, just wanting to feel more at ease, wanting to have more balance and sense of composure in the world. And the ability to befriend all things, all experience, all phenomena is really a cornerstone of this kind of equanimity where we're not so much like for and against and planting our flags in different places, but just allowing things to appear and then mysteriously dissolve. Which is not to say that, there aren't things to be done. Uh, there's a famous joke, how many meditators does it take to change a light bulb? And the answer is the light bulb never gets changed. There's just a lot of noting darkness, 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 darkness. And I like this joke because it's sometimes like that. Like sometimes we can practice in a way where we have so much equanimity that it kind of translates into a kind of indifference or uh, unwillingness to do the things that need to be done. Uh, but by and large, I find that when we free ourselves of all the things that stand in the way of this, of metta or compassion or love being the primary uh, manifestation of the heart, all we clear out all the things that stand in the way of that, all our aggressions and all our grudges and all our fixed views about how the world should be and our outraged that the world is not meeting our expectations. Uh, but the natural inclination is to want to be of service. The natural inclination is to want to help those in need, to use our time, our energy, our skills, and our resources for not just our personal benefit, but the benefit of everyone, everywhere. And then the last thing I wanted to share somewhere here is a quote from the Buddha, who this is when the Buddha was dying, and he was sort of like his sort of like last words, kind of. Uh, he was 80 years old and you know, quite unwell, so he preparing the community of practitioners for his departure, and his last advice to Ananda, his cousin, and his they always call him the attendant, but I sort of think of him as the chief of staff because he was like the gatekeeper. He was the person who decided who got an audience with the Buddha and who didn't. Uh, he says, Ananda, be islands unto yourselves, refuge unto yourselves, seeking no external refuge. With the Dhamma as your island, with the Dhamma as your refuge, seeking no other refuge. This idea of an island is like when the floods come, the floods of life, the inevitable difficulties that we face, that sort of like the higher ground becomes an island and it's safe from those torrential floods. It's a place of safety, a place of refuge. And he says, and how, Ananda? This is the rhetorical style of the Buddha. So he says, do this thing. And then he says, and how, Ananda, does a practitioner an island unto himself, a refuge unto themselves, seeking no other external refuge, with the Dhamma as their island, the Dhamma as their refuge, seeking no other refuge. So how does he do that? Uh, and then the Buddha responds, when they dwell contemplating the body, earnestly, clearly comprehending and mindfully, after having overcome desire and sorrow in regard to the world, when they develop contemplating feelings, when they develop contemplating mind, when they develop contemplating phenomena. They're basically just describing the practice of mindfulness, the four foundations of mindfulness, as a kind of ultimate refuge. So I thought we would just end by I will chant and invite you to chant along the uh, customary chant in the Pali language to ritualize this idea of going for refuge. You can see there's English translations here. So the first part is really like kind of an invocation or just appreciation and acknowledgement of the Buddha. So chant along if you know. It's pretty repetitive, so you'll catch up if you don't. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. I'll just let all those words settle for a moment. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your kind listening, and we'll just open it up to anybody that has a comment or question or reflection.
Yeah, so if you're on Zoom, you can raise your Zoom hand or um, flail wildly and we'll see you. Or if you'd rather write your question in the chat, I'm happy to read it for you. And then in the hall, someone has a microphone. So yeah, feel free to raise your hand.
We have a question in the hall.
Great.
Hi, this is Marcia in the hall. And
Hello.
Gullu, thank you so much for your talk this evening. It was really beautiful and really touched me after all the, I don't know, just all the stuff that's been happening and the election and holidays and all that. So thank you so much. So my question is about the last words of the Buddha. I've
Yeah.
heard it in different forms. And it always makes me wonder when I hear different versions in the translation, um, how to um, take them in when they're kind of like being an island unto yourself or being a light unto yourself.
Yeah.
Um, how do you work with the different ways that it's expressed in language? Is there some kind of way that you personally um, work with the different translations in the commentaries?
Yeah. That's a really good question. Like there's so much in translations, and this word, Pali word deepa, can mean lamp or light, and it can also mean island. And I tend to like actually read the opinions of different translators. Gil Fronsdale is one of the people that I really trust and appreciate, and he talks about this. This word does mean both things, but based on the context and the way the word is used in other parts of the Pali Canon, he thinks that island is a better translation. Um, and it's interesting because in it could be an island unto yourself. Like it maybe doesn't sound so appealing in the English sense of like maybe we feel like we're like stranded on a desert island, and being a light unto ourselves feels more inspiring. So I feel quite uh, sort of like open about finding the words that speak to us, and I've done a fair amount of reading of the suttas, and I always try to read at least two different versions if they're available to just see how different translators are interpreting the words. And then often there are commentaries on translations, where people have picked it apart. If that's of interest, it's incredibly helpful. There's the Metta Karniya Metta Sutta is one of them were popular suttas where the Buddha talks about loving kindness, and I think it was Lee Brasington, but someone online posted like 20 different translations of this same sutta, and mostly like the overall message or spirit of it is conveyed by all of them, but there are like some things that are just translated quite differently, and I find it interesting to just read them all and see what really appeals to me. In that sutta in particular, there's a section that it's usually um, translated as being unburdened by duties and frugal in their ways. And one of the translators translated it not being overcome by busyness. And since that's been such a theme in my life and my professional life, I really like that version of it. It's more meaningful to me. But both are good. Both are good advice. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful because sometimes it's a little confusing as to using the words that I associate with a certain teaching, and then I question whether that's kind of correct according to the spirit that I feel.
Yeah.
So I thank you for your answer. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And here that whether it's island or whether it's light, the point is that it's something that you're creating for yourself. It's a movement of inward refuge, not relying on any external refuge, allowing the Dhamma to be your refuge and no other refuge. And the only way that even grammatically or logically makes sense if it's like you and the Dhamma are the same thing. And we become Dharma or Dhamma, and then it's refuge in ourselves and it's refuge in Dhamma.
I have a question. My name is Jen. I'd love for you to say a little bit more about this idea of mindfulness as companion. It's such a lovely idea, and I've not thought about it so much, and clearly you have. So I'd just love for you to say a little more.
Hmm. I guess I did say that.
Yes.
Well, it's like mindfulness it's always available. It's always there, like this capacity to turn the mind um, from being captured in experience to being aware of experience. And yeah, I guess we're saying because people can do that for us also when we're so caught in reactivity. A good friend that we trust who is kind and gentle and speech, can help us like shift the perspective. So in that way, uh, mindfulness is kind of like a companion, that it's our own internal uh, kind of support for riding the ship when the waves are turbulent. Just to add another metaphor to the mix. I don't know if that really answered your question.
Yeah, and it reminds me of something else that you said, which is just sort of being alive and exploring the unfolding.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we live in such a balance of the world. Like, of course, we want to be, we want to change the light bulb when it needs changing. And, if it's cold, I should put on a sweater rather than just shivering. Um, and yet, when I look at my own mind, when I get the privilege of looking at other people's minds through their sharing, it's like there's so much adjustment. Every movement of the mind almost is in service of moving towards something pleasant and moving away from something unpleasant in a way that it just doesn't really work, and we spend so much time fiddling with the knobs trying to fine tune things that part of our meditative journey is to just allow those minor things to come and go without getting so involved in them or preoccupied by them. Yeah. And literally every time we sit down to meditate, we're building this capacity because it's hard. We get uncomfortable, or we get restless, or we get bored, or powerful emotions come up, and uh, every time we sit with something that's slightly unpleasant, we're building our capacity uh, to have this kind of dispassion where we're not just buffeted about by everything that happens in experience. I think my time's pretty much up, right? You have some announcements someone's gonna make.
If you could go ahead and close us out with some metta and a dedication of merit, and then we'll have announcements after that. Does
Sure.
that work?
Yeah, sure. Um, this is so beautiful. I get so much joy about like just the goodness and wholesomeness of this time together, and all the positive karma that gets generated, like from my own feeling of uplift to the beautiful engagement with, even when we're wrestling with the teachings of like, what does this mean, or how does this practical, that it's just really positive karma, that it inures to the benefit of certainly everyone in this field, and we can share this aspiration that the benefits will ripple out all the people we come in contact with. The more and more we're manifesting these qualities of heart uh, that are contagious, actually. Uh, this aspiration that Buddha articulated, that you know, this potentiality for the awakening of all beings everywhere without exception. May all beings everywhere be happy, peaceful, and know ease and mind of body and heart.
Thank you so much, Gullu Singh.